Hello everybody. I welcome you all to this video lecture on conductivity in metals by using quantum free electron model. I myself, Manjunath, physics assistant professor working in Cambridge Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. First it was Enrico Fermi, who lived between 1901 and 1954, an Italian physicist and the creator of the world's first nuclear reactor, the Chicago Pile 1, who has contributed immensely to the field of Fermi-Dirac statistics. And also one more celebrity, Arnold Sommerfeld, who lived between 1868 and 1951, a German physicist who pioneered developments in atomic and quantum physics. Before we move on to the quantum free electron model, first let us try to understand what is the definition of density of states. If you can look at that picture or the diagram, you will see that the energy level E1 and the energy level E2. So these are the designated energy levels E1 and E2. Between these energy levels, consider an arbitrary energy level E and a small increment in the energy level, that is E plus dE, and the energy range between E and E plus dE, the width, let it be dE. Permitted energy levels for electrons in a solid material will be in terms of bands. Each band is spread over a large energy range of few electron volts. Hence, the number of energy levels per unit energy range, say E and E plus dE, per unit volume is called density of states and is denoted by GE, where dE is the small increment in the energy. See, between these energy level E1 and E2, there will be millions and billions of energy levels, okay? And let us find some arbitrary energy level E, and a small increment to that is E plus dE. So between these, again, there are n number of energy levels, and that is called as density of states. So density of states means it is the number of energy levels per unit energy range per unit volume, per unit energy range, that is E and E plus dE, per unit volume. So that is called as density of states. And it is given by G of E into D of E. G of E dE is equal to 8 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2 into root E divided by h cube into dE. So that is the expression for density of states. Quantum free electron model assumptions. The model has been based on certain assumptions. The first assumption is that metal is assumed to be made up of positively charged lattice ions consisting of nucleus plus inner electrons. And valence electrons are free to move within the metal. These sea of free electrons are compared to the gas molecules. So there are valence electrons, they are free to move within the metal, and these sea of free electrons are compared to the gas molecules. Third, electrostatic forces between the free electrons and the ion core are negligible. The electrostatic forces between the positively charged ion core and the free electron is negligible. And also the electrostatic repulsion force amongst the free electrons is also negligible. Fourth, free electrons can't jump outside the metal because of potential barrier at the surface. See, because of the potential barrier at the surface, the free electrons cannot jump outside the metal surface. The free electrons will be bound within the metal only. They'll be moving randomly within the metal only. Fifth, so the important assumption, energies of the free electrons are quantized. The energies of free electrons are quantized and are distributed as per Pauli's exclusion principle. See, in Drude-Lagrange model, the energies of the free electrons were not quantized. But here, the energies of the free electrons are quantized and they are distributed according to Pauli's exclusion principle. Meaning, in a particular energy level, only 2 electrons are accommodated with spin half plus half and the spin minus half. The spin in one direction and other spin in upper spin and down spin. Fermi energy, Fermi factor at different temperatures. See, let us assume this Consider this figure. In this figure, in the metal, let us assume there are n number of free electrons, n number of free electrons. For n number of free electrons, n number of energy levels. For n number of free electrons, let us assume there are n number of energy levels. But as per Pauli's exclusion principle, in a given energy level, only 2 electrons can be accommodated. But at absolute zero, Kelvin, n by 2 energy levels are completely filled, and remaining n by 2 energy levels are vacant. They are not filled. The energy levels are there, are present, but they are not filled by electrons. Only n by 2 levels are occupied. The highest energy level occupied in the metal at absolute zero is called Fermi energy, and the electrons are called as Fermi electrons. So here, this energy, the highest occupied energy level in the metal at absolute zero is called as Fermi energy of that particular metal. As per the quantum free electron theory, electrons do not possess random energies but are assigned particular levels called as energy levels for a solid. As per this theory, at 0 Kelvin, for n free electrons, n energy levels are available for electrons. Each level is occupied only with the 2 electrons as per the Pauli's exclusion principle. Now, hence at 0 Kelvin, n by 2 levels are completely filled and n by 2 levels are completely vacant. The highest energy level occupied by the electrons in a given material at 0 Kelvin is called Fermi energy. On supplying the energy by increasing the temperature, some of the electrons lying below Fermi level jumps and occupy the higher energy level, that is, which is greater than the Fermi level. When you supply energy for this system through heat, through temperature, the electrons which were earlier there below the Fermi level, they jump and occupy the energy levels higher than the Fermi level. So as a result, some of the energy levels will be vacant below the Fermi level and some of the energy levels will be occupied above the Fermi level. So that is when you supply the temperature in the form of heat. If f of E is the probability of an electron occupying energy state E, Fermi energy is EF, Boltzmann constant K, absolute temperature capital T, then the Fermi-Dirac probability distribution function f of E is given by f of E equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power of E minus EF by KT. So this is the probability distribution function. By using this relation, you will get the probability of finding the electron in a particular energy level. So what I mean to say is, if you want to know the probability of the electron at this particular energy level, you have to use that formula. When you use that relation, f of E is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power of E minus EF by KT, then you're going to get the probability of that particular energy level. So you know that probability value lies in between 0 and 1. Minimum is 0, maximum is 1. So the probability energy values will lie in that particular range. Let us understand this relation with the different cases. Case 1. At temperature 0 Kelvin, energy less than Fermi level, then E minus EF will be negative, that is minus delta E. So what is the temperature? Temperature is 0 Kelvin. Energy level is less than the Fermi level. So here, energy level is less than the Fermi level. So EF is greater and the given energy level E is lesser. As a result, E minus EF means it will be negative. Therefore, I have used the symbol minus symbol and then minus delta E. F of E is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power of. So where there is E minus EF, I have put minus delta E divided by K into 0 because temperature is 0 Kelvin. It is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power of minus, anything by 0 is infinity, therefore e power minus infinity. And this e power minus infinity is written as 1 divided by e power infinity. E power infinity is infinity, 1 by infinity is 0, therefore I have written 0. Therefore 1 divided by 1 plus 0, 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 by 1 is 1. So therefore probability of finding the electron below the Fermi level is 1. You will always find an electron below the Fermi level At the temperature 0 Kelvin, probability of finding the electron is 1. At 0 Kelvin, all the energy levels below the Fermi level are completely filled and their probability is 1 or 100%. Now, case 2. At temperature 0 Kelvin, energy level greater than the Fermi level, then what happens to E minus EF? E minus EF will become plus delta E. Therefore, I have used F of E is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus E to the power of. In the place of E minus EF, I have used plus delta E. Delta E divided by K into 0 because temperature is 0. K into 0 is 0. Anything by 0 is infinity. Therefore, I have written E to the power of infinity. E power infinity is infinity, therefore 1 divided by 1 plus infinity. 1 plus infinity is again infinity. 1 by infinity equal to 0. Therefore, at 0 Kelvin, all the energy levels above the Fermi level are completely vacant and their probability is 0. All the energy levels above the Fermi level are completely vacant. Probability of finding the electron above the Fermi level at absolute 0 is 0. So therefore, you will not find any electron above the Fermi level at absolute 0 Kelvin. Now case 3. At room temperature, at temperature other than 0 Kelvin or room temperature, or temperature is 300 Kelvin, E is, that means energy is more or less is equal to the Fermi level. Let us consider the energy is more or less equal to the Fermi level. Then we have F of E equal to 1 divided by 1 plus E to the power of, where there is E minus EF, I have put 0 because and given energy level is more or less equal to the Fermi level. So E minus EF will become 0. 0 by anything is 0. Therefore, E power 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Therefore, 1 plus 1 is 2. Therefore, 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is 0.5. Therefore, probability of finding the electron at room temperature or the temperature other than the 0 Kelvin and the energy level, given energy level is more or less equal to the Fermi level, then the probability is 0.5 or 50%. At ordinary temperatures, energy levels close to the Fermi level, their probability is 0.5 or 50%. Now, let us derive an expression for Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. Fermi energy, you know Fermi energy is the highest energy level occupied by the electrons in a given material at 0 Kelvin. An expression for Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin can be obtained by finding the number of electrons per unit volume occupying energies from 0 to Fermi energy. Now, number of possible quantum energy states between E and E plus dE is given by the density of states relation. See, between the given energy level E and E plus dE, the number of energy levels is given by density of states, that is G of E into dE is equal to 8 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2 into root E whole divided by h cube into dE. You call this as equation 1. Now you know that probability of occupancy of energy state E is given by F of E equal to 1 divided by 1 plus E to the power of E minus EF by KT. You call this as equation number 2. The first equation is density of states. The second equation is probability distribution function. Now, number of electrons per unit volume occupying energy levels between E and E plus dE will be given by, designate it as dN, and that is given by the product of density of states and the Fermi distribution function, that is G of E into dE into F of E. G of E will give the number of energy levels between the given energy range E and E plus dE, and F of E will tell the probability of finding the electron. So when you multiply these two, you will get the number of electrons per unit volume. Therefore, at temperature 0 Kelvin, energy less than Fermi level, we have probability as 1. Hence, equation 3 becomes dN equal to G of E dE, because F of E is 1. Probability of finding the electron below the Fermi level is 1. Therefore, dN equal to G of E into dE. Hence, the number of electrons per unit volume occupying energies from 0 to Fermi energy is given by, see, when you integrate this dN, you will get N. N is equal to integration of dN. So, energy level from 0 to Fermi energy EF naught. So, integration of 0 to EF naught Where there is dn, I'll write z of e into de, g of e into de, and g of e into de is given by 8 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2 into root e whole divided by h cube into de. Now just simple mathematical calculations. N is equal to, everything is constant. I have taken it outside. 8 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2 divided by h cube is taken out, constant. Is taken out since it is a constant, and then remaining is root e. E is written as e to the power of half, and you know that integration of x power n into dx is equal to x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. I have used that formula for this root e. Root e means e power half. E power half means e power half plus 1 divided by half plus 1. Half plus 1 is 3 by 2. So as a result, you will get e power ef to the power of 3 by 2 divided by 3 by 2. I have used this formula. Now n equal to 6, just simplification, 16 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2 divided by 3 h cube into ef naught to the power of 3 by 2, which implies that when you get the formula for ef 3 to the power of 3 by 2, which is equal to 3nh cube, 3h cube is taken to this side, to the left hand side, therefore 3nh cube divided by 16 root 2 pi m to the power of 3 by 2. You call this as equation 4. To this equation 4, raise the power 2 by 3 on both sides of the equation 4. So because I want Fermi energy and I am raising the power by 2 by 3, because 3 by 2 and 2 by 3 will cancel each other. Remaining is EF naught equal to h square. I have raised the power 2 by 3. H cube was there, h cube was there, h cube into 2 by 3, 3 will cancel, remaining is h square divided by, and this is 16, when it goes inside the bracket, it will become 256. 256 multiplied by 2 to the power of 2 by 3 into m by 3, m to the power of 3 by 2 was there, now it has become 3 by 2 and raise the power 2 by 3, 2 and 2, 3 and 3 will cancel, leaving only m, and the remaining is 3n pi to the power of 2 by 3. Now EF naught equal to h square divided by 256 into 2 is 512. The square root has been written in the form of 1 by 2, 2 by 3 into m into 3n by pi in whole to the power of 2 by 3. Now EF naught equal to h square divided by this 512 is written in the form of 8 cube. 8 into 8 into 8 is 512. So 8 cube, this is 1 by 2 and this is 2 by 3. This 2, denominator 2 and the numerator 2 of the power will cancel each other, and the 8 cube, this 3 which is in the numerator and this 3 which is in the denominator, 3 will cancel each other, so leaving this 3n by pi to the power of 2 by 3 as it is. Now EF naught equal to h square divided by 8m into 3n by pi whole to the power of 2 by 3. We will call this as equation number 5. Fermi energy EF at temperatures other than 0 Kelvin is related to EF naught as. So there is a relation. EF Fermi energy is the energy at the temperature other than the 0 Kelvin. EF naught is the energy at the 0 Kelvin. So EF equal to EF naught into 1 minus pi square by 12 into KT by EF naught whole square. So this relation is out of the scope of the discussion. So we will consider the equation 6 as it is. Second term inside the bracket on right hand side is very small compared to the numerical value 1. Compared to the numerical value 1, this is very small, hence it is neglected. This holds good at ordinary temperatures, but not at high temperatures. So when it is neglected, EF naught into 1 is EF naught. So the Fermi energy at any temperature, at the room temperature, is equal to the Fermi energy at the absolute temperature, absolute 0 temperature. So this relation holds good at ordinary temperature, but not at very high temperature. So this is the expression for the Fermi energy at the room temperature or at the absolute 0 Kelvin. Now, using this quantum free electron theory. So this quantum free electron theory is sometimes called as Drude-Sommerfeld theory. Using this theory, they obtained the expression for electrical conductivity, which is given by conductivity sigma is equal to Ne square divided by m star into lambda by Vf, where N is the free electron concentration, E charge of the electron, m star effective mass of the electron, lambda mean free path, Vf Fermi velocity. So this is the expression for conductivity using the quantum free electron model. Let us try to discuss the success of quantum free electron theory. The first is temperature dependence of electrical conductivity. So this is the first success. The other theory, Drude-Lorentz theory, it expected that the resistivity proportional to square root of absolute temperature, but that was the wrong. It was the demerit of that Drude-Lorentz theory. But this theory, quantum free electron theory, it has proved that the resistivity rho is proportional to the temperature. It is in good agreement with the experimental results. The lattice vibrations due to the thermal energy occur such that the displacement of ions takes place equally in all directions. If small r is the amplitude of such vibrations covering a circular area pi r square, then we have lambda proportional to 1 by pi r square proportional to 1 by t, call this equation 1. Look at this figure. This the circle with the solid line is the size of the lattice ion at low temperature, and the circle with the dotted line is the size of the lattice ion at higher temperature, at elevated temperature or at room temperature. The size of the solid line, circle with the solid line, is at absolute zero. Assume that it is at the absolute zero, and the dotted line, the circle with the dotted line, is the size of the lattice ion at a higher temperature or at room temperature. See, this theory assumes that the lattice ion vibrates. It vibrates in all directions. It vibrates in top-down direction, left-right direction. It vibrates in all possible direction. As a result, it forms a circular vibration. As a result, when the temperature increases, the size of the lattice ion increases. The size of the lattice ion increases because due to the vibrations of the lattice ion. So that's what I have shown in this figure. You can see that the vibration increases because of the temperature. So when the ions absorb the heat energy, with that energy, they will not sit quiet. They vibrate in all possible directions. So as a result, the mean free path reduces. The lambda reduces, mean free path reduces. So that's the interesting point you have to notice or you have to observe. So here, if small r is the amplitude of such vibration, if you consider small r is the amplitude or the radius of such vibration covering a circular area pi r square, then you have that mean free path lambda is inversely proportional to the area of the vibration. More the vibration, less is the mean free path. That's the meaning. More is the vibration, less is the mean free path. And this radius of the vibration is depends upon the temperature. More is the temperature, more is the circular vibration. So that is how. So instead of lambda, you can write directly 1 by T. Higher the temperature, larger is the area represented by the lattice ion. Hence, more is the resistance to the flow of electrons. You know the relation conductivity sigma equal to Ne square divided by m star into lambda by Vf. So where there is a lambda, you can straight away write 1 by T using the previous discussion. Where there is lambda, you can straight away use 1 by T. So therefore, Ne square divided by m star Vf into 1 by T using equation 1. Therefore, conductivity sigma is proportional to 1 by T. All these are constant. Free electron concentration, charge of the electron E, effective mass of the electron m star, Vf, Fermi velocity. If you consider all these are constants, then the conductivity is proportional to temperature. So more is the temperature, lesser is the conductivity. So when you reciprocate this one, you'll get resistivity proportional to temperature. This is an excellent agreement with the experimental results, and it is the success of this quantum free electron theory. Now let's move on to the second assumption. Now let's move on to the second success of the quantum free electron theory. So this it gives relationship between the conductivity and the free electron concentration. If you remember the Drude-Lorentz theory, Drude-Lorentz theory expected that more conductivity for divalent zinc and trivalent aluminium than the monovalent copper. But however, this quantum free electron theory is predicting correctly that it is predicting copper is more conducting than the divalent zinc and than the trivalent aluminium. How it is, let us see. Trivalent atoms like aluminium, though possess a higher free electron concentration, but the conductivity is poor compared to the monovalent copper, which has lesser free electron concentration. As per this theory, you know that conductivity is equal to Ne square divided by m star into lambda by Vf. Conductivity depends on both electron concentration and the ratio lambda by Vf. See, the theory predicts that the conductivity does not only depend on the free electron concentration N, but also depends upon the ratio lambda by Vf. The ratio, the lambda by Vf factor plays an important role. For example, free electron concentration for aluminium is 2.13 times that of the copper. Free electron concentration for aluminium is 2.13 times greater than that of the copper. But lambda by Vf ratio for copper is 3.73 times larger than that of the aluminium. Hence, copper conducts better than aluminium. So it is the lambda by Vf helped the copper to gain higher conductivity. So you have to understand by this theory that the conductivity not only depends upon the free electron concentration N, it also depends upon the ratio lambda by Vf. So the lambda by Vf ratio plays an important role in understanding the conduction mechanism. Hence, copper, though it is monovalent, it conducts better than aluminium because of the larger lambda by Vf ratio. So these are the two successes of the quantum free electron theory. Thank you, one and all.